So again, that kind of liberation after that like super pinned up femininity. My name is Jamie Karen. I am one of the fashion department tutors here for the last going on 5 years now. I currently teach within the fashion department in the level 8 bachelor's degree, and I teach everything from the garment technology and production modules to the fashion history module for the primary degree. So it's the 20th century. So we go from the 1900s all the way up to the 1990s/2000. So it's fashion history and culture. So we look at how music and like economic, sociological and political events change the way that we look at fashion throughout each decade. So whether it's like the suffragettes movement or it's, something as simple as, Woodstock, how these things affect and change the way that, the correlation of fashion goes through the decades. So there is like what we like to call the ebb and flow. So if you look at it, the early 1900s with the Edwardian era, the kind of Gibson girl aesthetic where you have these really, really effeminate styles. So this really, really nipped in waist, the larger bust, like what we used to call the pigeon bust. So everything was kind of pushed upwards and everything was large and in charge. And then the hips were pushed backwards. So giving this kind of S shape, this S bend shape. So very feminine, very kind of modesty, and women had a very specific role in society. And then you transition into right after World War II into the 1920s. You obviously have the flapper movement, you have the beginning of the suffragette movement, you have obviously like the influence of jazz and ska music on British fashion. So all of these things kind of brought this kind of liberal edge as we saw kind of us transitioning out of this kind of, tyrannical time into kind of a time of peace, or a very brief moment of peace before we then enter World War II, which then we see that hyper femininity happening again, where, we see rather than having, the hemlines up at the knee where we had them in the 20s into the 30s and 40s, we see this old Hollywood glamour style really coming into play. And then after that, after the 50s, we obviously have the 60s where we have the transition into, peace, love, rock and roll. So again, that kind of liberation after that super pinned up femininity.